All right. Hello again, adventurers, and welcome to another exciting daily vlog. This is daily vlog number 77 of 2025, and today we're going to be returning to the series I like to call How Do I Turn My Hobby into My Living? If you've been kind of keeping tabs on this as a series, we started off simply by talking about can I turn my hobby into my living, and I showed you how to do budgeting and figuring out your costs and revenue and things like that to see if it's even possible. The second video was a deep dive into business types and figuring out which official flavor of business you wanted to turn your hobby into. Well, we've gotten through all that stuff. You've gone and created your LLC or incorporated or have decided that, sole proprietorship or a partnership is going to work perfectly for you. And now everything is easy. You've done all the hard stuff, all the paperwork and all that stuff. And now we just get to run the business, right? Like, that's the super easy part because you've already been doing this for however long you've been doing this hobby. Now it's just the fact that now I get to do it more. No. That is a fantastic way to fail in your business. Something a lot of people don't understand, especially when you're taking something that you used to do for fun and now you want to do it professionally, is the importance of a schedule. Every single job I've ever had has had a schedule. The absolute vast majority of jobs have some sort of a schedule associated with them. And there are reasons for that. Probably the biggest of which is most businesses need to operate when their customers can interact with the business in some way. And one of the easiest ways to do that is to have a set schedule so that your customers know exactly when they are able to come to your business and be able to purchase things or use your services, whatever stuff like that. So in a big business, it makes perfect sense. But we're talking about hobbies. We're talking about things like content creation, YouTube videos, or maybe you're going to be a professional dungeon master. Like, that doesn't need a schedule. Well, there's another benefit to having a schedule, and it's something that's actually observed a lot when people start working from home. Structure is very, very useful in ensuring that things get done in a timely fashion. We as humans in general tend to get distracted very, very easily, and having not only a structure but a kind of separation between your business duties and just the other stuff that you do for fun and you do to kind of exist in the world is essential for your business to operate successfully. Generally, a really, really common thing to see happen when a person starts a business, especially if it's like a business from home or something like that, is initially they will be very, very motivated, and they will get a lot of work done doing whatever it is that they do. And that initial burst a lot of times can last for weeks, sometimes even months, but eventually the burst runs out and they start struggling to do their work, because they'll like sit down and it's like, okay, let's say you're going to be a content creator. Okay, I am going to sit down and I'm going to record a video about this particular, you know what? I haven't taken the garbage out in like a couple days. So I'm just going to, real quick, I'm going to go run around. Okay, I've done that. Now we can sit down and, wow, you know what? I think I skipped breakfast and it's not lunchtime yet, but I could eat. Okay, but we'll get that done and then, okay, all right. So let's go ahead and we're going to focus. We're going to write this script. But you know what? I don't really need a script for this video. I think I'm just going to go off it. So I think I'm going to record. I'm going to record right now. All right, that's what we're going to do. But you know what? I've been using this editing software for so long, and it's just not doing it for me. You know what? There's an introductory sale price on Premiere Pro. I think I'm gonna get that, and I mean, I can record anytime, but I can get that, and I can kind of fool around in Premiere Pro. I still have another video I haven't edited from like 2 weeks ago. Maybe I'll do that, and I'll try this new. And that keeps going on and on and on and on. It's so easy to get distracted and start doing different things. So, best practice in general, and this is not just for the idea of turning your hobby into your living. This is also a really good practice if you do start working from home, just in general, because being in a place that you feel very comfortable, that you are used to kind of using as a place where you relax, as a place you have fun, as a place you do everything, it's very, very easy to not treat your work now, because your hobby is now your work. It doesn't mean that that needs to be horrible and you have to hate it like you hate your other job. You can love doing your job. You can love your work. But you need to treat it as if it is your job, because now it is. So, bare minimum, there are two major things that you need to do in order to ensure that your business is going to get started off in the right foot. First of all, you need to develop a schedule. And as crazy as this sounds, a lot of people will start with, but no, I quit my job because I didn't want to have that 9 to 5 job where I have to be there every day at 9 a.m. and I just hated being awake it's fine. You don't actually have to stick to your old schedule, but you do need to have a schedule. Your schedule doesn't need to be a 40-hour work week or a 45-hour work week or anything. That is going to take a decent amount of time to figure out exactly how much time you need to dedicate to each particular aspect of your new job. And, excuse me. The only way you learn that is by doing it. There are tons of different guides out there that you can find for everything from being a professional dungeon master, being a content creator, being a streamer. There's lots of different places where you can kind of look up and see what other people do. But until you do it yourself, you're not going to be able to figure that out. So it's nice to kind of start with what you were already doing. It's like, well, normally Mondays are when I film my videos and Wednesdays are when I edit them. Okay, well, we can start with that, but we need to put down concrete times. You're not a morning person? Fine. Don't record your videos until the afternoon or the evening. You have other things that you want to do. Maybe you play D&D Wednesday nights. Okay, well, then make sure that your editing time is scheduled in a way that you have plenty of time to go off to your game. But you do need to put down a schedule. The two big benefits of having a schedule and actually sticking to the schedule, one, it gives you adequate time to do the things that you need to do. Something else that's extremely common for new business owners is when they realize that they don't have anything that's absolutely due that particular day, they'll procrastinate. Or they'll go, you know what? I don't have to do this right now, but I've been wanting to do this kind of side project that's not essential, but it's something I've really wanted to do. And so they'll go do that side project until it's almost time for this other thing to be due. Then they have to rush through that, and it creates a very, very stressful environment because you're always going from one fire to another, putting it out, and then dealing with this. And by creating a schedule and sticking to this schedule, it allows you to devote the time necessary to do the essential parts of whatever your job is. And allows for, again, with this being your primary job now, when you do the things in their scheduled time, when you're done with that, you can go, okay, I'm done with my scheduled thing. So now I can go off and do personal time stuff if I want. Or, that side project that I wanted to do, well, now I can do that, and it's not going to cut into the essential factors of my business. The other benefit to having a schedule and sticking to it is it helps get your mind focused. Remember that example I made the first time where you sit down, it's like, okay, I'm going to do work, but then I also have to go do this thing. That is extremely common, especially, again, if you've never been your own boss. It's kind of the same experience that like a new D&D player, someone new to a tabletop RPG can have when they sit down at the table the first time and the DM has just finished explaining, okay, you're in an underground ruin. You can see a door on the south wall. There's a scent of mustiness in the air. The cobblestones themselves are rough and cracked in places. What would you like to do? And the person goes, well, what can I do? Anything you want. And you get this kind of choice paralysis. I don't know what to do. The exact same thing can happen once you become your own boss. It's like, why? I have nobody telling me what to do. I have always had someone telling me what to do. What am I supposed to do? There's so many different things that I need to get done. How am I having a schedule and actually scheduling? Okay, let's use content creator as an example. To be a successful content creator generally involves three things. One, scripting your content like I don't do. There's a reason this channel is not doing phenomenally well. So, scripting your content is an absolutely useful and I wouldn't say essential, but is extremely beneficial. Second of all, you actually have to create your content, so you have to record it. Third of all, editing and thumbnails. I put those kind of in the same thing because they use kind of similar skills to a point. Thumbnail design is different from video editing and stuff like that, but they're both kind of artistic in general. So if you want to split those into two different things, thumbnail design and editing, they're both kind of final prep work before it gets published. So if you have, for easy numbers, let's say you put out one video a week. That's not an insane amount. And if it's a good, high-quality video, there's a good chance that you can create a pretty decent following with just one video a week. So, in order to get everything done that you want to get done, let's say Mondays, you devote, let's say, 4 hours to writing your script. So 4 hours for writing, that seems like that. You would be surprised. Depending on what kind of content you do, your script writing might also include research for the topic that you're talking about. Your script writing might also include finding artwork or other things that are going to be necessary for the recording process. So there's a lot of things that you can fit into. And you also might have to actually come up with the ideas for your video. So all of that, we'll put that into writing. This is all stuff that happens before you record the video. So we have writing, script writing. You're going to polish it up and everything. You finally have a polished script. You spend 4 hours on Monday doing that. Now we get to the recording process. Here's a fun fact a lot of people don't know. I used to script my content. I used to record and edit my content. In general, whatever I was creating, I would record a minimum of 3 times the amount of content necessary for the video. So if I was making like a 5-minute video, bare minimum, I was recording at least 15 minutes worth of content due to flubbed lines, due to multiple takes and the things like that. A lot of times, my recording sessions would last anywhere from half an hour to an hour and a half. And most of my videos were in the neighborhood of like 10 to 20 minutes. So setting aside a decent amount of time for recording is essential. Like I said, a decent rule of thumb that I used to go by, take whatever length you want the video to be, multiply it by a minimum of 3, probably better if you multiply it by 4. So you make a 20-minute video, set aside about an hour and a half for recording. Now, does that mean, okay, well, Wednesdays are going to be my recording day, so I just block out an hour and a half? No, because recording is more than just when the camera is rolling. Again, when I say that I had triple the amount of content that I needed for my video, that's actual time when the camera is on. Setting up the camera, getting everything ready, that takes time too. Now, we'll talk about this in kind of the second half of this video, but if you do have a dedicated recording space, you can get rid of a little bit of the prep time for your recording. You can't get rid of all of it though. So dedicate, again, 3 to 4 times the length of the video for the actual recording, and then tack on at least a half an hour to an hour. I like to use nice round numbers. So if I'm going to be recording a bare minimum of an hour and a half of content, I am going to give myself an additional hour-ish just to make sure I have more than enough time to get everything. Because I like really even round numbers, I'm going to go hour and a half of recording time, hour and a half of prep time and work time and stuff like that. We'll tack on a half hour just so it's an even, or wait, no, we don't need to. That'll give us exactly the 3 hours. So an hour of prep time and then an extra half an hour of leeway gives us exactly 3 hours. So Wednesdays, we have 3 hours to do all of our recording. All right, that works perfect. Now we've got that. Now we need to edit it. Editing something takes a very, very long time. First things first, however much you recorded, you are probably going to have to watch that entire thing at least twice. It's just how it is. Unless you have a really, really good kind of mind and eye for editing, where you remember all the different takes you did, or maybe while you're recording, you actually write down, okay, that was the take that I liked. So you have timestamps to work with. That can make things slightly easier, but still, you're probably going to have to watch it in its entirety, minimum of 1 time, probably at least twice. And then in addition to that, you're also going to have other things going on where you're going to have to re-edit it, and you're going to have to put sound and pictures and all that stuff in. So bare minimum, I tend to go whatever your raw footage is, double it, and then add on at least an hour. Again, depending on how long the video is, you might want to add on more. So again, we're going to go for our editing time is 4 hours. Again, just use really easy numbers. Well, that's actually, like, that's a super, super easy job. Like, that's like the greatest thing ever. I only have to work, let's see, let's do math. 4 plus 3 is 7, plus 4 is, you have to work 11 hours a week? This is the greatest thing ever. Oh, you sweet summer child. No, that's not the only thing you need for a successful YouTube channel. You need to do marketing. I'll have an entire video on marketing, which can be everything from tweeting out your videos or using a service that allows you to schedule out tweets and other kind of social media posts, whichever platform you're deciding to use for it. You have the actual editing process. And for YouTube, you have interaction with your fans. You need to be responding to comments and doing other things to interact with your fans, like the contents section where you can make posts and stuff like that for your fans to kind of interact with, or run polls and things like that. Those are all really, really essential, useful parts of running a YouTube channel. So that in and of itself, that's a pretty decent chunk. And as your channel gets bigger, that process will become bigger and bigger and require more and more work. But again, to use easy numbers, let's say Tuesdays, we devote that to dealing with the channel itself, looking at analytics, dealing with comments, scheduling your marketing stuff. So we'll put 4 hours on to Tuesday to do that. Well, now I'm done, and that still means that I'm working less than I was before. Yeah, but then there's also the business aspects of running your business. Uh, Figuring out uh, your revenue and just stuff like that. If you're using something like QuickBooks or some other kind of what do you could call it? Accounting software, putting everything in there. If you have some sort of a merchandise shop, which is highly recommended, putting the work into that of creating the correct listings and all that stuff. So let's say another day we're going to dedicate to that. We're going to call it 4 hours again. So now we have 5 days a week. We're spending 4 days a week. We're spending 4 hours a day. So that's 16, and then 1 day a week we're spending 3 hours. So it brings us up to about 19 hours, which is still a lot less than you would normally do for a full-time job, but it's a nice start. Now, does this mean that this is the absolute best schedule and you will never? No, every single person is different. You might only need an hour or two for your writing, but you find that the recording takes significantly longer. Or maybe just editing and thumbnail design is just not your cup of tea. And so instead of spending 4 hours on it, you spend a full workday every time you have to edit something. So it's a full 8 hours. Everything's going to be a little bit different. But by scheduling it and putting it down at particular times, when, let's say, you always start at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, since most of these are 4 hour days, you go from 1 to 5. That's when you work. So you know when 1 o'clock hits, okay, it's business time. I'm going to go to where I do my business. I'm going to do my business. That structure will help you to focus and will allow you to do the things that need to get done without feeling overwhelmed. You don't have to go, oh shoot, did I pay my quarterly taxes? You don't have to worry about that. That's what Thursday is for. This is Monday. This is scripting. So by sticking to a schedule, you're going to give yourself the best chance of succeeding. Does that mean you will always succeed? No. Businesses in general fail all the time. This is just a best practice. If you're not doing this, you are making it more difficult to succeed. Doesn't mean that you can't succeed without doing this. There's lots of people that don't use really rigid scheduling that do very well in the content creation space. However, they are flukes. They are exceptions to the rule. You want to give yourself the best chance possible to succeed. Now, the other aspect of working from home and turning your hobby into your little living is have a business spot. What do you mean by that? If you can afford it in some way, shape, or form, you should have an area where the only thing you do in that area is your job. In a traditional job, that's how it works. You go into the office. You don't go into the office to take a nap. You don't go into the office to play video games, unless your job is playing video games, and then it might. But you have this particular spot where once you get in there, your brain knows, oh, this is the workplace. This is where I do work. So it helps to focus yourself. The same thing is true about working from home or running your own business. Have a place where the only time you are in that place is when you are doing work. Having a home office is absolutely phenomenal. It is one of the most useful things you can have when you are running your own business. Because when you go into the home office, again, your brain will tell you, oh, I'm in the workplace. Now I need to do work things. And when you leave it, your brain will go, oh, I'm not in the workplace anymore. I can now do other things. And I strongly recommend do not do anything in your home office or your workspace that is not work related. Oh, you know what? I need to go get something to eat. Fantastic. Have your meal somewhere else. Eat in front of the TV. Go to your dining room. Go out to eat. Whatever it is, don't eat at your desk, because then you're going to start confusing your brain of, oh, well, is this me time or is this work time? Is food always work time. And what eventually happens is if you are regularly eating while you are doing work, whenever you start eating, your brain is going to go, oh, it's work time. So if you're out with friends, oh, wow, I wonder what I should be doing here. You're not going to be able to enjoy it. If you're just, having your breakfast in the morning, you are going to get kind of bogged into the idea of, well, I need to be working as well. Let your meal times be your meal times. Let your work times be your work times. You are now your own boss. You don't have to worry about commutes. You don't have to worry about punching in or punching out. Allow yourself time for lunch. Put that in your schedule as well. Put meals into your schedule and let yourself completely detach from your work. Now, what happens if you don't have a home office? You don't have the ability to have a spare room in your house that is just for your work. Well, then find a place somewhere in your house where you always do your work. And if it can't be a permanent thing, then you need to create effectively a ritual. You need to create a series of steps that you take to transform this place from, hey, this is where I have fun, to, hey, this is where I work. A really simple way to do that is to have, like, let's say, again, you just don't have the space to have your own home office. So you do your work from your kitchen table. This is a really, really common thing to do. Okay, well, when it's time for work, what I do is I take my laptop out, I put my laptop there. I go and get a notebook so I can take notes and write things down when I'm not using my laptop, and I put it there. I take my phone because I don't want distractions, and I put it over here away from me, maybe charging or just over there, so that if there is a distraction or something like that, I can either go, no, I'm working right now, or I can go over there and go, hey, this is completely separate from my work, and not confuse the idea of my phone is part of my job and it will interrupt things. But sit there and make this ritual of, okay, this is no longer my kitchen table. This is my workspace. So I get my laptop, I put it out, I plug in my, cooling pad or whatever I use for it. I get everything set up and have things there that physically make it feel different. If you're using your kitchen table, get rid of all the dishes and plates and things like that. Put them somewhere else. Put them on the opposite side of the table. If you have doilies or something like that, clear it off so this space feels different. Have a separate, unique space for when you do your work. It will help you immensely. Again, our brains are, first of all, our brains love schedules. They really, really do. We have a kind of default schedule that's built into our body called our circadian rhythm. It basically dictates when you are awake and when you are asleep, and when you are the most active when you are awake. When your circadian rhythm gets messed up, bad things happen to you. Trust me on this. My circadian rhythm has been fucked for like 6 or 7 years at this point. It's not fun. Our brains like schedules. Our brains like structure. And this is true from when we're tiny little babies to when we are old and elderly. Structure is useful. It's one of the reasons why businesses work so effectively when they are structured correctly, and why they fall apart when they're not structured correctly. The same thing is true about your own business. Structure it. Set up a schedule and set up a workspace. Like I said, if at all possible, having a place where the only time you go into that place is when you are working is absolutely great. And it can be a spare room. It can just be a nook or something where you've put a desk and you keep your laptop there or something. A lot of it is going to depend on, what you have available to you. In my room here, my bed is over there. But this particular area I'm in is just this kind of nook. And I've set it up specifically. This is my computer space. I have my computer set up here. I've got all my stuff behind me to kind of remind me while I'm here. This is entertainment. Over there is where I do everything else. I have my little mini kitchen, which my mini kitchen is a microwave and a toaster oven. But that's the food area. This is the computer and gaming area. That is the sleep area. So creating these physical spaces where your brain can go, oh, when I'm here, this is what my mindset is supposed to be, is absolutely essential, and it will definitely help you. And like I said, if you don't have the space in your home to have your own home office or things like that, or you have nowhere where you can have a nook that you can just have your work stuff there, then ritualize it. Wherever you create your stuff, pick a spot in your house. I am going to make this my workplace. FYI, don't make it your bedroom. It's a really, really bad idea. It can actually really mess up your sleep cycle because your brain starts to get used to the fact that your bedroom is not just for sleeping. Don't make it your bedroom. Choose any other place in the house. Kitchen, dining room, living room, wherever you want to go. Just don't make it your bedroom. Ritualize turning the space away from its primary position into this is my workspace. Do your work, and then after you're done, do the exact same ritual backwards. Clean it all up, turn it back into the regular space it's supposed to be. If you have roommates or family members or things like that, they need to understand as well, I am at my job. During this point, from this time to this time, I am working. If you wouldn't interrupt me when I was off at work before, you shouldn't interrupt me now, because this is my job. I'm going to let you know right now, a lot of people have a really hard time understanding that, especially if your roommate, your significant other, whatever, has a more traditional job. They're going to see you at home and are going to be very confused. No. You're at home, so I can interact with you and things like that, because I have a real job and I actually go to work. It's a rough thing to go with, but sitting down with them, laying down the law, hey, if this is going to be successful, this is what I have to do. And if you care about me, you will support me in doing this. But this is how it has to work. If you don't have a significant other or a roommate or something like that you have to deal with, you can ignore that part. But in this day and age, bare minimum, you probably have a roommate or a housemate or something. And again, if you can't have a place that is sequestered away, it is very, very essential for you to be able to tell them, hey, listen, I'm doing my job right now. If you interrupt me, if like I'm working at the kitchen table and you decide to make yourself a snack and eat it at the kitchen table, that can cause issues for me. Doesn't mean that you can't eat or anything like that, but let's just have some mutual respect. And in this particular instance, I need this 4 hours to be able to do my job. So yeah. Now, we've all been talking about content creation. There's a lot of other things. Something that's really popular in the circles that I go around is being a professional dungeon master. I know a couple different people that they make their living as a dungeon master. And the same process is going to be necessary to be a professional dungeon master as a professional content creator. Figure out what you need to do. Obviously, you need to set aside times for when you are actually running your games. Whether you're running them in person, you're running them online, you need to put that in your schedule. Okay, these particular days, I have games running at this point, and this point. If you are scheduling your own games there's quite a few different websites where you can actually offer your services as a professional dungeon master. Absolutely set up a schedule. Okay? Wednesday nights and Friday nights, I run my games. Or if you really want to go crazy, I know a few people that run like 4 or 5 games a week. So again, that's 20 hours worth of work, since your average game is going to be roughly about 4 hours. So set that up as schedule, and then in addition to actually running the games, you have your DM prep time. If you only run 1 game a week, then you don't have to worry about differentiating your prep times. If you're running multiple games a week, you need, as part of your schedule, to go, okay, this day, this time, I prep for this particular game. Different DMs tend to have different amounts of prep. The basic rule of thumb that I think tends to be a pretty decent one for most newer DMs and GMs, for every hour you intend to play, you should have an hour of prep time. So if you are running 5 games a week, that means 20 hours a week you're playing and 20 hours a week you're prepping. So you have an actual full-time job there. But the same thing is, the same aspects are still true. Set up a schedule, create a work space, whether it is a complete room, it's a nook, or it's just a place on your dining room to the table. Create your workspace, create a schedule, and stick to it. This is going to give you the highest chance of succeeding. Does it mean that you're guaranteed to succeed? Absolutely not. Markets are strange. Businesses are weird. There's always chances that weird things that you can never anticipate are going to happen. So understand that this is not, hey, this is your guaranteed way to succeed. These are what are referred to as best practices. If you do these things, you are going to be giving yourself a leg up over someone that's not doing it. Does it mean that that's going to make you more successful than someone that doesn't do these? Does it mean that someone that completely just does everything off the cuff can't be successful? That happens all the time. However, that is not a predictable thing. It tends to be pure luck that something like that happens. So start with this. And then, as I said in the beginning, every single person is different. For being a professional dungeon master, again, a good rule of thumb to start with is for every hour that you're going to be running a game, you should have an hour of prep time. I have been running games for over a decade at this point. I have stopped doing anywhere near that amount of prep work because I know how I do my prep work. In general, I can generally do one like real solid bit of prep for a D&D game that generally lasts anywhere between like 2 to 8 hours, depending on what's going on. Generally split up over a couple times the week once it gets over about the 2 or 3 hour mark. And that prep work will last me for months because that's just how I run my games. And I'm very improvisational, and a lot of my prep work involves me figuring out character motivations and creating NPCs that I understand well enough that I can just kind of go with the flow, or figuring out the motivation of different countries and how the world is working so that when the players do something, I know how the world will react to them. It's how I do it. Different people do different things. Depending on what kind of things that you're running, if you're running pre-written adventures, which is extremely common and popular for professional DMs, it might be that you run 4 or 5 games a week, but of those games you're only running 2 different scenarios. Maybe you're running Curse of Strahd 3 times a week for 3 different groups because it is by far the most popular D&D module that has been published for 5th edition. And then the other 2 you're running Adventures League games or something like that. Well, that means your prep work can kind of piggyback on it. For the 3 different Curse of Strahd games, yes, the players are going to make different choices. They're going to do different things, but you don't need to make new maps for each individual group. You can just have one set of maps for the entire adventure. It's not that there's going to be new NPCs for each different group. All the groups are going to have roughly the same NPCs. They're just going to interact with them differently. So the most you need to do is have maybe a campaign journal or something so you can keep track of the different campaigns, which can become very confusing very quickly. So I do highly recommend, if you're running the same adventure for multiple groups, have either physical or digital campaign journals that you kind of keep track. Okay, these are the players. These are the choices that they've made. Does make it easier. One of the nice things about running Curse of Strahd is part of the game, part of the adventure itself, is you use a Taroka deck, which is their version of a tarot deck, to randomize where certain things are located in the adventure. So recording your Taroka deck pulls can be a nice way to organize the different adventures, because the Sun Sword is going to be a different place for each adventure. The symbol of Ravenkind is going to be in a different place for each adventure, stuff like that. So, yeah, interested to hear from you guys. If anyone here does either work from home or runs their own business, are these things that you actively do? Are these things that seem really, really useful to you? Let me know in the comments down below. If you don't, you're just thinking about getting a little bit more serious about your hobby, what are your thoughts and feelings about this? Do you have any tips for doing things in the realm of scheduling and stuff? Let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, again, it's going to be all for me today. I will see you guys next time. All right? Bye-bye.